The engine sputtered, coughed, and died, leaving only the hum of cicadas on a lonely Colorado highway. Alex gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white, as the dashboard's glow faded to black. Midnight. No gas. No cell signal, just him and the endless stretch of asphalt under a merciless moon. He swore under his breath, slamming his palm against the wheel. 22. Broke. And running from a life that felt like a cage. Alex had no plan except to keep driving until the past couldn't find him. But now, stranded in the middle of nowhere, that plan seemed as useless as the empty tank. He stepped out, the chill of the night biting his skin through his thin jacket. The road was a void. No headlights. No signs of life. Just him, his beat-up Chevy, and a gnawing sense of dread. Then, twin beams sliced through the darkness. A police cruiser rolled up, slow and deliberate, its lights casting eerie shadows. Alex's heart raced. Cops weren't his favorite people. Not after years of dodging their questions back in Denver. The driver's door opened, and a figure stepped out, tall and broad-shouldered, his face half hidden in the moonlight. Car trouble, the officer called, his voice calm but carrying an edge of curiosity. Alex shoved his hands in his pockets, forcing a casual shrug. Out of gas. No stations for miles. The officer stepped closer, his badge glinting. Officer Jamie Carter, he said, his tone softening. You're a long way from anywhere, kid. His eyes, sharp but kind, scanned Alex's face, lingering just a moment too long. Hop in if you trust me. I'll get you somewhere safe. Alex froze. Trust. He didn't trust anyone. Not after a lifetime of betrayal, parents who'd kicked him out at 17 for being bi. Friends who'd turned their backs when he needed them most. But something in Jamie's voice, low and steady, tugged at him. Against every instinct. Alex nodded. All right. Just don't make me regret this. The cruiser's passenger seat smelled of leather and coffee, and Jamie drove in silence, the radio crackling faintly. Alex stole glances at him, late 20s. Maybe, with a jawline that could cut glass and eyes that seemed to hold secrets of their own. Where we headed? Alex asked, trying to mask his nerves. Gas station about 10 miles up, Jamie said, keeping his eyes on the road. Unless you've got somewhere else to be. Nowhere, Alex admitted, the word heavy. Just away. Jamie's lips twitched. Not quite a smile. I know that feeling. The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. Alex wanted to ask what he meant, but the silence felt safer. For now. The gas station was a flickering neon oasis, its sign buzzing like a dying insect. Jamie pulled up to a pump and handed Alex a jerry can. Fill it up. On me. Alex blinked, caught off guard by the gesture. Why were you being so nice? He asked, suspicion creeping into his voice. Jamie leaned back, crossing his arms. Maybe I've been where you are? Maybe I just don't like seeing someone stuck. His gaze held Alex's, steady and unyielding. And for a moment, the world felt smaller, like it was just the two of them under that flickering light. Alex filled the can, his mind racing. Jamie wasn't like any cop he'd ever met, not gruff, not cold. There was a warmth to him, a quiet intensity that made Alex's chest tighten. As they drove back to his car, Jamie broke the silence. You running from something? Alex. The question hit like a punch. Alex's jaw clenched. Memories flooding back his dad's fists. His mom's silence. The word freak spat at him in the street. Yeah, he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. Myself. Mostly. Jamie didn't push. Just nodded like he understood. When they reached Alex's car, Jamie helped him pour the gas, their hands brushing briefly. The touch sent a jolt through Alex. Unexpected and electric. You're not alone in that, Jamie said softly, his eyes catching the moonlight. Not tonight. As Alex turned the key and the engine roared back to life, he realized he didn't want to drive away. Not yet. Something about Jamie is quiet strength. His cryptic kindness felt like a lifeline. But lifelines could snap. And Alex had learned that the hard way. He glanced at Jamie, standing by the cruiser, his silhouette framed against the starry sky. Thanks, Alex said, his voice thick. For, you know. Jamie's smile was small but real. Get some rest, Alex, and stay out of trouble. He paused, then added, if you can. As the cruiser pulled away, Alex sat in his car, the engine idling, his heart pounding. He didn't know where he was going next, but for the first time in years, he felt like he wasn't running alone. The highway stretched on, a ribbon of black under the Colorado stars. But Alex's mind was still back at that gas station. Jamie's voice low, steady, almost too kind, echoed in his head, tugging at something he'd buried deep. He pressed the gas pedal harder, as if speed could outrun the ache in his chest. By dawn, he'd reached a small town called Havenwood, a speck on the map with one diner, one motel, and a whole lot of nothing else. The diner's neon sign flickered, promising coffee and pie, and Alex's stomach growled. He parked, grabbed his backpack, and headed inside, the bell above the door jingling. The place was half empty, smelling of grease and syrup, with a waitress who looked like she'd seen it all. Alex slid into a booth, ordering coffee and eggs, his eyes scanning the room out of habit. Running had made him paranoid. Every stranger felt like a threat, every glance a judgment. He was halfway through his coffee when the door jingled again, and his heart stopped. Jamie walked in, out of uniform now, in a flannel shirt and jeans, but still unmistakably him. You stalking me? Alex blurted, half joking, half wary. Jamie chuckled, sliding into the booth across from him without asking. Just hungry. This place has the best pancakes in the county. His eyes sparkled with something playful, but there was a weight behind them, like he was carrying his own ghosts. Alex leaned back, trying to play it cool. Didn't peg you for a pancake guy? There's a lot you don't know about me, Jamie said, his voice teasing but soft. The waitress brought him a coffee, and he thanked her by name Clara like he was a regular. Alex watched him, caught between curiosity and caution. Why did this guy keep showing up? And why did Alex feel like he didn't mind? They talked, haltingly at first. Jamie asked about Alex's car, his plans, dodging anything too personal. Alex gave vague answers, still guarding himself. But Jamie's easy laugh and quiet questions chipped away at his walls. You always this nosy? Alex asked, smirking. Only when someone looks like they're carrying the world, Jamie replied, his gaze steady. Alex's smirk faded. He wasn't used to being seen. Not like this. The conversation shifted to Havenwood, a town Jamie called home. It's quiet, he said. Good place to start over. Alex snorted, thinking of the chaos he'd left in Denver's parents' rejection. The fights. The nights sleeping in his car. Starting over sounded like a fantasy. But Jamie kept talking, painting a picture of a life Alex had never dared imagine. A small house. A steady job. Maybe even someone to share it with. You ever think about settling down? Jamie asked, his tone careful. Alex's throat tightened. Not sure I'm built for it, he said, staring into his coffee. People like me, we don't get happy endings. Jamie's hand twitched, like he wanted to reach out but stopped himself. You'd be surprised, he said quietly. Havenwood's got a way of changing people. The words lingered, heavy with possibility. Alex wanted to believe him, but trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. Still, when Jamie offered to show him around town, Alex didn't say no. They walked the quiet streets, past a hardware store and a community center with a rainbow flag in the window. Alex stopped, staring at it, his chest tight. Didn't expect that here, he said, half to himself. Jamie followed his gaze. Havenwood's small, but it's got heart. Took me a while to figure that out. There was a story there. Alex could tell, but Jamie didn't elaborate. They ended up at a park, sitting on a bench by a frozen pond. The air was crisp, the silence comfortable. Alex stole glances at Jamie, noticing the way his hands moved when he talked, the faint scar above his eyebrow. He wanted to ask about it, about Jamie's life, but the words stuck in his throat. Instead, Jamie spoke. I came here 5 years ago, running from my own mess. Thought I'd never fit in. But this place, it's home now. He looked at Alex, his eyes searching. You could find that too. Alex's heart pounded. He wanted to believe it. Wanted to believe in Jamie's quiet confidence, in the possibility of a place where he could be himself without fear. But the past was a shadow, always lurking. What if I don't deserve it? He whispered. Jamie leaned closer, his voice low. You do. You just don't know it yet. The moment stretched, charged with something Alex couldn't name. He wanted to stay there, frozen in time. But his phone buzzed in his pocket, shattering the spell. A text from an old friend in Denver. Your dad's looking for you. He's pissed. Be careful. Alex's stomach dropped. The past wasn't done with him yet. The text burned into Alex's mind as he shoved his phone back into his pocket. His dad always looming. Always angry hadn't given up. Havenwood's quiet charm felt like a fragile bubble, ready to burst under the weight of his past. Jamie noticed the shift in Alex's expression. You okay? He asked, his voice gentle but probing. Alex forced a nod, his jaw tight. Just old news catching up. He stood, brushing off his jeans, trying to shake the unease. I should get going. Jamie stood too, his eyes narrowing slightly. You sure? You don't look like you're ready to hit the road. Alex wanted to snap, to tell him to mind his own business. But Jamie's concern was disarming. Instead, he muttered, I'm fine. Thanks for the tour. He turned toward his car, parked across the street. But Jamie's hand grazed his arm, stopping him. If you need a place to crash, there's a motel on Main Street. Cheap. Clean. I can walk you there. Jamie's tone was steady, but there was an urgency in his eyes, like he could sense Alex's fear. Alex hesitated. Every instinct screamed to keep moving, to outrun his dad's shadow. But his body ached. His mind was foggy, and Jamie's offer felt like a lifeline. All right, he said finally. Just for tonight. The motel was a faded relic, its neon sign buzzing faintly. Jamie helped Alex check in, chatting with the clerk like they were old friends. Alex watched, marveling at how easily Jamie fit into this town, how he seemed to belong. It stirred something in Alex's envy. Maybe. Or longing. In the room, Alex dropped his backpack and collapsed onto the bed, the springs creaking. Jamie lingered by the door, hands in his pockets. You need anything? I'm not far. Just ask for me at the station. Why do you care? Alex asked, the question slipping out before he could stop it. You don't even know me. Jamie's smile was small, almost sad. I know what it's like to be lost. Someone helped me once. Figure I'm paying it forward. He paused, then added, get some sleep. Alex, you're safe here. The door clicked shut, and Alex lay there, staring at the ceiling. Safe. The word felt foreign, like a language he'd forgotten. His mind churned his dad's threats, Jamie's kindness, the rainbow flag in the window. It was too much. Too fast. Sleep didn't come easy. When it did, it brought nightmares. His dad's voice, slurred and angry. The slam of a door. The cold of a Denver alley. He woke with a start. Heart pounding. The room bathed in early morning light. His phone buzzed again, another text. Heard you're in Havenwood. I'm coming. Panic clawed at him. He scrambled out of bed, grabbing his things. He had to leave. Now. But as he reached for the door, he hesitated. Jamie's words echoing, you're safe here. Could he trust that? Could he trust anyone? He stepped outside. The morning air sharp. Havenwood was waking up, kids on bikes. Shopkeepers opening doors. It felt normal. Safe. But Alex knew better than to believe in safe. He headed to the diner, needing coffee and a plan. Clara, the waitress, greeted him with a smile. Your cop friend was asking about you, she said, pouring his coffee. Alex's heart skipped. Jamie. Yep. Said to keep an eye on you. She winked. But Alex's mind was elsewhere. Why was Jamie so invested? Was it just kindness? Or something more? He was halfway through his coffee when Jamie walked in. Back in uniform. His presence filling the room. Morning, he said, sliding into the booth. You look like hell. Thanks, Alex muttered, forcing a smirk. Rough night. Jamie's eyes softened. Want to talk about it? Alex wanted to say no, to keep his walls up. But Jamie's steady gaze unraveled him. He took a breath, then let it out. My dad. He's not a good guy. And he's looking for me. Jamie's expression darkened. But he didn't push. You don't have to face him alone, he said. Not here. Alex stared at him, torn between fear and hope. Jamie's words were a promise, but promises had broken him before. Still, something in Jamie's eyes fierce, protective made him want to believe. For the first time, running didn't feel like the only answer. Alex's coffee grew cold as he stared out the diner window, the weight of Jamie's words settling over him. Not alone. He'd spent years building walls, convincing himself solitude was safer than trust. But Jamie's presence solid, unwavering, made him question everything. "You don't get it," Alex said finally, his voice low. "My dad, he doesn't just let go. If he finds me, it's not going to be a happy reunion." He clenched his fist, memories of bruises and shouted slurs flashing through his mind. Jamie leaned forward, his voice steady but intense. "He won't touch you here. Havenwood's my town, and I don't let bullies run it." There was a fire in his eyes, a glimpse of something personal behind his words. Alex wanted to ask, but the question felt too heavy. Instead, he changed the subject. "Why this place? Why stay in Havenwood?" Jamie's gaze softened, like he was looking at a memory. "I came here after my own rough patch. Grew up in a town where being different wasn't okay." He hesitated, then added, "I'm gay. Took me a long time to say that out loud. Havenwood gave me a place to figure out who I am." Alex's breath caught. Jamie's openness hit him like a wave, stirring feelings he'd tried to bury. He'd known he was bi since he was 15, but saying it out loud had always felt like painting a target on his back. "How'd you do it?" he asked. "Just be yourself." Jamie's smile was bittersweet. Didn't happen overnight. Found people here who didn't judge. Made all the difference. He paused, studying Alex. "You could find that too, if you stay." The idea felt like a dream too fragile, too good. Alex wanted to believe it, but his dad's texts were a ticking clock. He glanced at his phone, the screen dark but heavy with threat. "I don't know if I can." Jamie reached across the table, his hand stopping just short of Alex's. "You don't have to decide now. Just don't run yet." His voice was soft, but it carried a weight that made Alex's chest ache. They left the diner, walking through Havenwood's quiet streets. Jamie pointed out little details: the bakery that gave free cookies to kids, the library with a pride book club. Alex listened, half distracted, his mind torn between Jamie's warmth and the fear gnawing at him. When they reached the park again, Jamie stopped by the pond, the ice glinting in the sunlight. "I used to come here when I first moved," Jamie said. "Cleared my head. Made me feel like I could start over." He turned to Alex, his eyes searching. "What do you want?" "Alex. Really?" The question hit hard. Alex stared at the pond, his reflection distorted in the ice. "I want to stop running," he admitted, his voice barely audible. "But I don't know how." Jamie stepped closer, close enough that Alex could feel the warmth of his presence. "You start by staying. One day at a time." His hand brushed Alex's, a fleeting touch that sent a shiver through him. For a moment, the world was just them, the pond, the quiet promise of something new. But the moment shattered. A black pickup truck roared down the street, its engine loud and menacing. Alex's blood ran cold. He knew that truck his dad's. It slowed as it passed, the tinted window rolling down just enough to reveal a pair of angry eyes locking onto him. "Alex." Jamie's voice was sharp, pulling him back. "You know that guy?" Alex nodded, his throat tight. "My dad." The words felt like a confession, raw and exposed. The truck sped off, but the threat lingered, heavy as the winter air. Jamie's jaw clenched. "He's not getting near you. Not while I'm here." He pulled out his radio, his voice switching to cop mode as he called for backup. "Stay with me, Alex. We'll handle this." Alex's heart pounded, torn between fear and the flicker of hope Jamie's words sparked. He didn't know if he could face his dad, but for the first time, he didn't feel like he had to do it alone. The black pickup's taillights vanished around a corner, but Alex's pulse didn't slow. His dad was here, in Havenwood, and the fragile safety he'd started to feel crumbled like dry leaves. Jamie's hand on his shoulder was the only thing grounding him, a steady anchor in the storm. "We need to move," Jamie said, his voice calm but urgent. "My place is close. You'll be safe there." He guided Alex toward his cruiser, parked nearby, his eyes scanning the street like a hawk. Alex followed, his legs shaky. "You don't know him," he said, his voice tight. "He's relentless." He could still hear his dad's voice, slurring through whiskey and rage, calling him every name under the sun for daring to be himself. Jamie's eyes met his, fierce and unwavering. "I've dealt with relentless before. He's not getting through me." The conviction in his voice was a lifeline, and Alex clung to it as they drove to a small house on the edge of town, its porch light glowing like a beacon. Inside, the house was warm, cluttered with books and photos of life lived, not just survived. Jamie locked the door and checked the windows, his movements practiced but tense. "You're staying here tonight," he said. "Not a question. Couch is yours." Alex nodded, too rattled to argue. He sank onto the couch, his hands trembling. Jamie sat across from him, his presence steady but not overbearing. "Tell me about him," Jamie said. "Your dad. What are we dealing with?" Alex's throat tightened. He'd spent years burying the memories, but they spilled out now as Dad's fists. His mom's silence. The night he'd been thrown out for kissing a boy at a party. "He hates who I am," Alex said, his voice breaking. "Always has. Bi? Queer. Whatever, thinks it's wrong. Thinks he can beat it out of me." Jamie's face hardened, but his voice stayed soft. "He's wrong. And he doesn't get to decide who you are." He leaned forward, his eyes locking onto Alex's. "You're not alone in this. Not anymore." The words hit Alex like a wave, stirring feelings he wasn't ready to name. He looked at Jamie strong, kind, openly gay in a way Alex had never dared to be, and felt a pull, a spark of something dangerous and beautiful. But fear kept him silent. His dad was out there, and trust, even with Jamie, felt like a gamble. Jamie's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. He glanced at it, his jaw tightening. Patrol spotted the truck near the highway. "He's circling, but he hasn't made a move." He looked at Alex. "We'll keep eyes on him. You're safe here." Alex wanted to believe it, but the past had taught him safety was temporary. Still, Jamie's house felt different lived in. Warm, a stark contrast to the cold motels and alleys he'd known. He noticed a photo on the shelf, Jamie, younger, with another man, both smiling. "Who's that?" Alex asked, nodding at it. Jamie's expression softened, then darkened. "My brother, Matt. He didn't make it. Overdose. 3 years ago." He paused, his voice thick. "He was like you. Running. I couldn't save him." The confession hung between them, raw and heavy. Alex saw the pain in Jamie's eyes, the same pain he carried. And something shifted. "That's why you're helping me," he said. Not a question. Jamie nodded. "I couldn't help him. But I can help you." The room felt smaller. The air charged. Alex's heart raced. Not from fear, but from something else, something he hadn't felt in years. He wanted to reach out, to close the distance between them. But fear held him back. Instead, he said, "I don't want to be your charity case." "You're not," Jamie said, his voice low and fierce. "You're you." The words lingered, unspoken possibilities crackling between them. A knock at the door made them both jump. Jamie stood, hand on his holster, and checked the peephole. "It's Clara," he said, relaxing slightly. He opened the door, and the diner waitress stepped in, her face grim. "Saw that truck parked near the motel," Clara said. "Figured you should know." Alex's stomach dropped. His dad was closing in, and Havenwood's safety was starting to feel like a lie. Clara's words hung in the air like smoke, thick and suffocating. Alex's hands clenched, his mind racing with images of his dad's truck, its engine growling like a predator. Jamie's house, warm and safe moments ago, now felt like a trap waiting to spring. "Thanks, Clara," Jamie said, his voice steady but tense. "Head home, but keep your phone on." Clara nodded, her eyes flicking to Alex with a mix of sympathy and resolve before she left. Jamie turned to Alex, his expression unreadable. "We're not running blind. I've got people watching the town. He won't get close without us knowing." He grabbed his radio, barking orders to the station, his cop instincts taking over. Alex watched, torn between gratitude and the urge to bolt. "I can't stay here," Alex said, standing. "He'll find me. He always does." His voice cracked, betraying the panic he'd tried to bury. Jamie stepped closer, his hands raised like he was calming a spooked animal. "You leave now. You're playing his game alone. On his terms. Stay, and we face him together." His eyes locked onto Alex's, fierce and pleading. "Trust me, Alex. Just a little longer." Alex's chest tightened. Trust was a cliff's edge, and he'd fallen too many times. But Jamie's voice, his presence, was a tether pulling him back. He nodded, barely, and sank back onto the couch. Jamie sat beside him, close but not touching, the space between them electric. "Tell me something," Jamie said, his tone softer now. "What's one thing you've always wanted? Not running, not hiding, just you." The question caught Alex off guard. He stared at the floor, his mind sifting through years of survival, of dreams he'd buried to keep moving. "I wanted to paint," he said finally, his voice barely audible. Used to sketch all the time people, places, things that felt real. Haven't done it since I left home. Jamie's eyes lit up, a small smile breaking through. You're an artist. That's something. He stood, crossing to a shelf, and pulled out a sketchbook and a pencil. Show me. Alex blinked, caught between embarrassment and warmth. Now. Seriously. Why not? Jamie said, handing him the sketchbook. Gives us something to do while we wait. Alex took the pencil, his fingers trembling. He hadn't drawn in years, but the weight of it felt familiar, like a piece of himself he'd forgotten. He started sketching nothing fancy, just the outline of Jamie's face, the curve of his jaw, the intensity in his eyes. Jamie watched, silent, his presence steadying. The sketch took shape, rough but honest, and Alex felt a knot in his chest loosen. You're good, Jamie said, leaning closer, his voice warm. Really good. Their eyes met, and the air shifted. Alex felt the pull again, stronger now, a current he couldn't ignore. Jamie's hand brushed his, lingering this time, and Alex didn't pull away. The moment stretched, fragile and charged, until Jamie's radio crackled, shattering it. Carter. Trucks parked at the gas station. No movement yet. A voice reported. Jamie's jaw tightened, but his eyes stayed on Alex. We've got time. He's not calling the shots. He stood, checking his holster again, but his voice softened. Keep drawing. It's grounding. Alex nodded, clutching the sketchbook like a lifeline. But his mind was elsewhere, torn between the warmth of Jamie's touch and the cold dread of his dad's proximity. He sketched faster, pouring his fear, his hope, into every line. Hours passed, the tension building like a storm. Jamie stayed close, alternating between checking his phone and talking to Alex about nothing music, movies, Havenwood's quirks. It was a distraction, but it worked, keeping the panic at bay. Then, just past midnight, Jamie's phone buzzed. He read the message, his face grim. He's at the motel, looking for you. He looked at Alex, his eyes fierce. We end this now. Together. Alex's heart pounded, but Jamie's resolve was contagious. He nodded, standing. Okay. Together. The night air was sharp as Alex and Jamie stepped out of the house, the cruiser waiting like a silent sentinel. Alex's heart hammered, but Jamie's steady presence kept him grounded. We're not confronting him, Jamie said, his voice firm. We're just making sure he knows you're not alone. They drove to the motel, the town's lights blurring past. Alex clutched the sketchbook, his drawing of Jamie unfinished but alive with feeling. It was a reminder of something worth fighting for, something his dad couldn't take away. The motel's neon sign buzzed as they pulled into the lot. The black pickup was there, parked crookedly, its engine still ticking. Alex's stomach churned, but Jamie's hand on his arm steadied him. Stay in the car, Jamie said. I'll handle this. No, Alex said, his voice stronger than he felt. I'm done hiding. He stepped out, the cold biting his skin, and faced the truck. The driver's door opened, and his dad emerged tall, broad, His face twisted with the same anger Alex had fled years ago. Thought you could run forever. Huh? His dad snarled, stepping closer. You're coming home. Boy. We're fixing this. There's nothing to fix, Alex said, his voice shaking but clear. I'm not your mistake. Jamie stepped forward, his badge glinting under the neon. Sir, you need to leave. Now. His tone was calm, but his stance was unyielding. A wall between Alex and his dad. His dad's eyes narrowed, flicking between them. This your new friend? He spat, the word dripping with venom. Another freak like you. Alex flinched, but Jamie didn't. Back off, Jamie said, his voice low and dangerous. You're on my turf, and you're not touching him. The standoff stretched, tense and electric. Alex's dad took a step forward, fists clenched, but headlights flashed as another cruiser pulled up. 2 officers stepped out, their presence a silent warning. His dad hesitated, then laughed, bitter and cold. You think this is over? I'll be back. He climbed into his truck, the engine roaring as he peeled out of the lot. Alex's knees buckled, but Jamie caught him, his grip strong. He's gone, Jamie said. For now. Back at Jamie's house, Alex sat on the couch, his hands still shaking. Jamie sat beside him, closer this time, his warmth a quiet comfort. You were brave out there, Jamie said. Braver than you know. Alex shook his head. I was terrified. Brave doesn't mean not scared, Jamie said, his eyes soft. It means doing it anyway. He paused, then added, I'm proud of you. The words hit Alex hard, stirring feelings he couldn't ignore. He looked at Jamie, at the man who'd stood between him and his past, and felt the walls he'd built start to crumble. Why do you keep helping me? He asked, his voice raw. Jamie's smile was small, vulnerable. Because you're worth it. And because I see you. His hand found Alex's, their fingers intertwining, and the world shrank to just them. Alex's heart raced, but not from fear. He leaned closer, drawn by Jamie's warmth, his honesty. Their lips met, tentative at first, then deeper. A kiss that felt like a promise of safety, of hope, of something real. When they pulled apart, Alex's eyes were wet, but he was smiling. I don't know what I'm doing, he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. Me neither, Jamie said, his thumb brushing Alex's hand. But we'll figure it out. For the first time, Alex believed it. His dad was still out there, but in Jamie's arms. He felt something stronger than fear, something worth staying for. Morning light filtered through Jamie's curtains, casting soft shadows across the room. Alex lay on the couch, Jamie's arm draped over him, their bodies close in the quiet aftermath of the night before. The kiss lingered in Alex's mind, a spark that had ignited something he hadn't dared hope for: connection, safety, love. But the shadow of his dad loomed, a storm waiting to break. Jamie's phone buzzed, and he checked it, his face tightening. He's still in town, he said, sitting up, parked near the highway. My guys are watching him, but we need a plan. Alex's stomach twisted, but he nodded. I can't keep running. Not anymore. He looked at Jamie, drawing strength from his steady gaze. What do we do? Jamie stood, pacing. We get you protected legally. A restraining order. I know a judge in town who'll fast-track it. He paused, his eyes softening. And you stay here. With me. If you want. The offer hung between them, heavy with meaning. Alex's heart raced. Not from fear, but from possibility. You mean that? He asked, his voice thick. Jamie knelt in front of him, taking his hands. I mean it. I want you here. Alex. Not just for now, for as long as you want to stay. Tears pricked Alex's eyes, but he didn't look away. I want that, he said, the words feeling like a vow. I want to try. Jamie's smile was bright, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Then we'll make it work. The day passed in a blur of action. Jamie took Alex to the courthouse, where a kind-eyed judge listened to his story: years of abuse, fear, and running. The restraining order was granted, a small piece of paper that felt like a shield. Back at the station, Jamie's colleagues promised to keep watch, their support a quiet testament to Havenwood's heart. That evening, Alex and Jamie sat on the porch, the sky painted with pinks and oranges. Alex held the sketchbook, finishing his drawing of Jamie, the lines now bold and sure. I used to think I'd never belong anywhere, Alex said, his voice soft. But this, it feels like home. Jamie's hand found his, their fingers lacing together. You belong here, he said. With me. A week later, Alex's dad was gone, turned away by Havenwood's tight-knit community and Jamie's unwavering resolve. Alex stayed, moving into Jamie's house, his car parked out front like a promise of permanence. He started painting again, his sketches filling the walls, each one a step toward healing. Havenwood embraced him a job at the diner, a spot in the Pride Book Club, friends who saw him for who he was. The fear lingered, a faint scar, but it faded with every touch of Jamie's hand, every shared laugh, every quiet moment that felt like forever. One night, under the same starry sky where they'd met, Alex looked at Jamie, his heart full. I ran out of gas at midnight, he said, smiling. Best thing that ever happened to me. Jamie pulled him close, his lips brushing Alex's forehead. Hop in any time, he whispered. I'll always be here. And in that moment, Alex knew he wasn't running anymore. He'd found his place, his person, his home. The road ahead was uncertain, but with Jamie beside him, he was ready to face it, one brave step at a time.